Hello and welcome back to the Game Bet Match podcast. I'm your host Manny Friedman, and along with my co-host from San Diego.
Yeah, Brad Sloan. Yeah, on the in the house from a not from my house. So yeah.
Yeah, you get 3 hours. You're 3 hours behind, right? So the matches start a little earlier, right? At a
Yeah,
reasonable
the night
time
oh
for you.
actually it's gonna be great because the matches will start at like 3 p.m. Actually, I think
Awesome.
auctions will start even early. The auctions will start like 1 or 2 here, so it'll kind of
Yeah.
be like the tennis all day scenario that we always dream of.
And then like the finals tonight are like at what, midnight for you, which is like good. You'll be lying in bed watching the match, and you won't be like half
Yeah,
asleep,
yeah,
right?
possibly. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I might be able to catch some of the match today. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Um, we're trying to hold true to our promise and giving some weekly recap pods. The first week of the season is over. Unfortunately, Smooth couldn't join us today. I think he had some family commitments, but I'm sure he'll be back next week for our Australian Open pod. But before we get started, I just want to kind of give out our condolences to um, Damien Kust, who sadly passed away um, last week. I didn't have much interaction with him, but from what I've seen on X, I could tell he really knew the sport really well, and he mainly covered the Challenger Tour. But with some guys, you just know that they just know the sport better than others, and like he was one of them. So just gone too soon. I don't think he did any betting content, but like he was a good resource for a lot of people. Did you have any interaction with him, Brad?
Very, very limited. Probably about as much as you. I just, I also kind of wanted what I really kind of I don't know. I'm not honestly was happy to see because but like I thought it was really cool how you saw a lot of people come out really positively in the tennis community and kind of the online tennis community.
Hmm.
And I thought it was cool because like it's easy to complain about the negativity, but
Hmm.
like it was cool to see like there's actually a lot of really good positive people in the space.
Hmm.
And I feel like a lot of really good positive people came out to give condolences. And you could really see like a lot of the really good positive, helpful people in the community.
Yeah, I mean, from what I heard, he was a really positive guy. He kind of looked at the best of everyone, and like, I feel like to follow the Challenger Tour that closely, you kind of have to be a Challenger guy because there's a lot of bad, bad to look at. So you kind of have to look at the good and see, evaluate talent differently. So I respect that. And Yeah, I mean it's tough when someone's gone that early. It's just like it puts things in perspective. Like tennis is not that serious. Like if we lose a bet, whatever, it's like
Yeah, for real. And I think it's yeah, yeah. But I honestly I feel like I feel like there's obviously the idiots in the space, but I feel like for the most part, like a lot of the stuff that I see at least is actually pretty like people who keep it pretty well in line and who understand a lot of there's a lot of good content creators and a lot of the guys that we interact with, Manny, are um some of them might have some flaws, but they for the most part are seem to be pretty good human beings and aren't taking it seriously or like threatening players when they're losing bets or anything.
yeah, I
We
haven't seen
interact with a lot of people that I think are really really like good in the space, and those are a lot of people you saw come out with the same thoughts. And I just thought it was really kind of cool to see the online tennis community unite around that. I haven't really seen too much from like the Challenger Tour. I would love to see a tournament like do something for him.
yeah. I've seen some Challenger level players give out their tribute. I wish Tennis Channel would do something more. It hasn't been like ironically, it has been more from the the X community instead of like the mainstream media community, which is kind of sad to see in a way,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, I think it's just more of an online, probably an online personality. It's like it's also makes you realize like we're kind of like a niche of a segment.
Hmm.
You know, like
Yeah,
so you kind of realize that too. Um,
right. I mean, I also think it's like good to, differentiate between like betting content and tennis content, and like I think it's all valuable to tennis as a whole, right? Like I feel like bettors sometimes only follow bettors like betting content, but it's also important to kind of follow the other parts of the sport, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely like it's possible to follow both. And I agree. I think that's like the best is to have that kind of like hybrid thought of the sport. I think it makes it a little easier too. As a like, I don't know, like if you really enjoy watching tennis and can lose a bet but be like, wow, that was a great match, like that Musetti-Rublev match.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a lot healthier.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. I enjoyed Packers Bears, but I was still pissed I lost the bet. Just because I lost two times on massive chokes. Like it was
Yeah,
someone needs to lose their job on that Packers team, but that's a subject for a different day. We'll stick to tennis, but before we move on, just once again condolences to the Damien Kust family. And yeah, hope everyone stays healthy first and foremost. Uh
yeah, sure.
But then, so let's move on to what happened this week. I guess, we have two finals to look forward to in Brisbane and Hong Kong. So I guess we'll start there. We can kind of look at the lines there and kind of segue into our recap. Let's start with Brisbane. So we got Medvedev and Nishikori. I believe Medvedev is a 3.5 game
You
favorite.
mean Nakashima?
Nakashima.
Nishikori is Nishikori.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's a
If
little
it's
bit later on the
Nishikori, then
East
I have a
Coast.
very different opinion of the line.
That's true. Nishikori is actually playing Australian Open qualifying. I saw the draws there, but yeah, it's Nakashima. He's a 3.5 game favorite. Um, Personally, I'm on the Medvedev side again. I'm gonna lay the 3.5. I feel like I'm higher on Medvedev than most, but it's being justified more often than not this week. He just seems like mentally fresh. I think the Thomas Johansson hiring has been really good for him. Kind of just a new voice for him. Um, like tactically, he seems back to where he was in 23 or yeah, 2023, 2024. He seems to be hitting also a slightly bigger ball, just more penetrating ball. Um, and moving really well. So I think it's a really bad matchup for Nakashima. Just this is the kind of matchup where that athleticism gap really shows. Um, Against guys like Collignon and Kovacevic, who are kind of aggressive-minded guys but don't play great defense. I don't think it shows as much per se. Um, and I think Medvedev, he can neutralize once he neutralizes Nakashima's serve, then I think he has an edge in rallies for sure. So, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so a few thoughts. I'm really interested to see. I mean, I'm really interested. I would say I'm really interested to see this match for Medvedev. I think like we've seen a lot from Medvedev over the past 4 months. Ever since the Johansson hiring. I don't know necessarily like this week has been that impressive for me. I mean, I watched the TFO match. TFO was terrible as expected.
Mhm.
I that was a match too where I have to like move my priors. Like I think we talked. Before we talked in the preseason. I was probably higher than you in smooth. I know it's only one match, but I'm dropping my opinion of TFO quite a bit. I was not happy with what I saw from TFO
Yeah,
against
one
Wawrinka.
win versus Vukic doesn't really move the needle, right?
Not really, and like it's also the style matchups. Like I would expect TFO to beat a Vukic. Just because he's just like so much better. Like
Well, he struggled with
Vukic.
Vukic in the past.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I
I
don't
do
know.
think Tiafoe played well that match, but like it shouldn't move the needle. Like that's the thing with Tiafoe. He's so up and down, you know? And it's more down than up, but like There's no consistency with his game.
it just didn't seem like there's a lot of energy either from TFO. The forehand just didn't have much on it against Medvedev. Like he just could
Yeah.
like he actually had some really good backhands. There was some really good backhand rallies in the match, but his forehand was just kind of like lacking zip. It was very very weird. Not weird, but it was just very disappointing. Just very disappointing effort from TFO in general. And I thought TFO looked kind of slow too around the court. Like just
Yeah.
not. It was not happy with TFO in that match. And then otherwise he beat Fuchsovix, dropped a set to Marchak, and beat Mickelson. But I guess my point is like none of those wins are amazing. I mean, I'm even going back and looking at like since last year, since last year. So he did beat Zverev in Beijing. Um, did beat Fokina a couple times. So a few good wins, beat Demon. I guess he's got a pretty good collection of good wins over the past few months. So yeah, I mean, he definitely seems to be in a better place than where he was, middle of last year. But beating Fusvitz, TFO, Marchak, and Mickelson doesn't. I don't know. I want to see him beat like a
Yeah.
top 10 player.
I hear you, but these were guys that the caliber of guy he was struggling with last year,
I agree.
right?
I
So the
agree.
level of improvement with Medvedev, I look at his energy, like his mental energy, very closely. So when he's arguing and he's bitching and he's like, kind of, you know, fighting with the umpire over stupid stuff, like it tells me that he's not really focused. Um, and I felt like he was losing a little bit of that passion and like kind of desire to compete and problem solve last year. And I thought that that was the biggest issue over everything. Because if he doesn't have that, then, he really has to be mentally dialed in order to play his game effectively, right? Against good players. Because his game is so tactical, right? It's a very he has to be able to think 3 or 4 shots ahead. So if he's not fresh mentally and he's focusing his mental energy on other things, I think that's what really impacts him. So like more than anything, it's not necessarily the caliber of opponent, it's kind of the level of concentration that I see point in and point out with him, which has improved.
Manny, that's a fantastic take. Medvedev, actually, I don't know if you saw, but Medvedev, I don't know if it was a post match interview, like
Hmm.
on the court, or if it was a post match interview, like with Tennis Channel or something. But there was a post
Yeah.
match, there was an interview after one of the matches where he actually brought up that exact point. He actually said exactly what you're saying, that one of the things he's trying to do is do a better job of exactly that. So staying dialed in, playing
Yeah.
kind of in the moment, if you will, and not getting caught up in. I think the way he put it was staying locked in point to point
Yeah, and
was
it's
the
one thing to say it, but it's another thing to do it. And I feel like he's doing it better than he has in
well, the
recent
point was
times.
he actually said during this interview that he wasn't doing it well the last couple of years.
Okay.
So so it's interesting that you bring that up because he might actually agree with you.
Okay, I actually did not hear that interview, so it's pretty cool that he actually said that. I
And
didn't
you and
know that.
Daniil agree.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
you should become the coach. Maybe you should become the assistant coach with Johansson.
Yeah, I wish I had that job. Trust me. I wish I was in Brisbane right now, not in Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just really high on him going forward this year. Um, I think it's going to translate to decent results against top 10. Like, I don't necessarily think he's going to have wins against Alcaraz and Sinner consistently, but I do think that, he's trending in a good direction. I actually placed a bet on him to win the Australian Open at 30 to 1. I know you always say no is no, but I think there are some question marks with Alcaraz heading in with the Ferrero hiring. Like I think if there's a slam to fade Alcaraz in, it's this one. And if he's on the opposite side of Sinner, he's shown that he could make the final at the Australian Open when playing his best tennis, even when he wasn't playing his best tennis and had to play all those five setters, he still made the final um, one year. So. I don't know. I don't think there's any reason why he shouldn't be like, okay, if you want to put him fourth favorite behind Djokovic, fine, but there's no reason why he should be placed behind Zverev at this point.
I can see the argument for sure. I think it's yeah, I can see the argument for sure. And I think like the name you brought up that really matters there is Alcaraz, right? Like it depends on if it depends. I agree. There's the question marks out there. It depends how much you're willing to kind of bet into those question marks. But yeah, I don't like. I see the logic.
Mhm. Yeah, it was 30 to 1. That's probably my minimum buy point. Like if it was even 20 to 1, I'd probably pass. 25 to 1, maybe probably pass still. Um, yeah, I would say 28 would be my buy point on that. But I
Yeah,
think
I think yeah. I mean that makes sense. It's a long shot pick, and but obviously like that's why you're getting the price you're getting, right? So
right.
yeah, I don't I don't yeah I don't hate it.
Mhm.
Yeah yeah
And then from the Nakashima side, what are, what do you think of his week and what his projections are?
yeah. I mean, I've been really impressed with Nakashima this week. Like he he looks like I mean I'm not gonna say he looks like he's like transformed into a different guy, but I think he's playing. I think he's had a really good week thus far. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so I mean, this is a different test for him. I think this is going to be a much harder test than what he's seen so far. But yeah, I think it's a really encouraging week for him so far. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's probably what I
hasn't
would
dropped a
say.
set.
Like,
I'm actually most impressed with the Halis win. Like that's a type of match where in years past that would be 6-6 or we go to two tie breaks. He wouldn't be able to find a break there, right? And like he was able to find multiple breaks. I get Halis was probably a little bit fatigued, but I didn't think Halis played poorly. I saw quite a bit of that match. Um, Collignon is another guy we'll talk a little bit about. But I think it's a good win too, 3-3 against kind of a hot guy who's had some good wins in the recent past. Um, Kova actually impressed me too this week. He served really well the entire week. Um, and Kova's a very kind of streaky player, but it seemed like he was back to that Montpellier form that we saw last year when he made the final and lost to FA in 3 sets. Like it seems like he got some of that back. Um, so
I
yeah,
mean, the only thing I'm going to say with Kova is I'm going to pull it up that way I have it, but and he played some good servers. He played but he played Kyrgios. So he played Kyrgios, won by a break in each set, won 28% of return points. Nori won 28% of return points, found one break in the match. Pericard found one break in the match, won 25% of return points. And then Nakashima, found zero breaks and won 31% of return points. So I don't know, 4 breaks in 4 matches is not.
yeah, but Pericard, no one's going to break him on these courts.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, still you're talking about 4 breaks in 3 actually he did find one break on Pericard. So you're still talking about 3 breaks in 3 matches without Pericard. I don't that's I still think there's a lot of questions about his defensive game.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
Um
he's not getting to the semis if he's not serving well, right? So like that part of his game has improved.
no, the serve and the forehand are clicking for sure. The serve
Yeah.
and the forehand are clicking, and he had I think he had like 18% of his serves this week went for aces, which is pretty impressive.
Mm.
So really, yeah, I mean you know, that's
Yeah.
yeah, definitely serve was clicking, definitely forehand was clicking.
From a betting perspective, I actually think first set overs is a sneaky look with Kova that I don't think the market has necessarily caught on to.
I mean, it's caught on a little bit, because the question is it caught on enough? I'm not sure, but I think over 10.5 was like plus 130 against Nakashima, and the
Okay.
tie break
But
was like
Nakashima is also a serve-oriented guy.
Yeah, yeah.
right?
I'm not saying maybe I mean you could maybe make the argument the plus 130 for over 10 and a half, and I think the plus 180 or whatever it was for the tiebreak, maybe that was value. But I'm just saying I think the market knows that he's at least somewhat serve oriented. The question is how much.
But I don't think the market has really caught on to how piss poor his return game is. That's my
Maybe,
point.
maybe. I
Yeah.
think I'd probably go in between there. I mean, maybe not enough, but I think a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the backhand is still shaky. He's still not. I don't know. He's gonna have the same problems. Like he's he feels like kind of a true tennis player to me. He's not like particularly explosive, not particularly like he can generate power on the ball. Like he can generate power, especially on the forehand side. He can generate power, but he needs to like be in position. He's a really hard time hitting out of position. Like
Yeah, I mean the backhand is going to be tough as he has a one-hander, but like I feel like he was taking the ball a little bit earlier this week on the back off the backhand and
which
generating.
I think is great. I think that's what he has to do.
Yeah, he's
He's to
improving.
win.
He's improving.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. So do you have a bet on tonight's match?
No. If the 3.5 gets a little less juiced on Medvedev somehow, if it moves like in the last few minutes here before, not the last few minutes, but the last couple hours here before first ball, maybe because I do think like the problem is I think like with how well Nakashima's serving, I think Nakashima's only been broken once all week. So with how well Nakashima's serving, I don't necessarily I don't necessarily want to lay 3.5 with Medvedev. A juice 3.5 or slightly juice 3.5,
Yeah, but
given how well
Halis
Nakashima's
Collignon and
serving.
Halis Collignon and Kovacevic are not Medvedev caliber returners.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And like the one guy that did get a break was Fokina. And it's not like he wasn't facing break point. Collignon, he saved 6 of 6 break points. Halis, he had 2 break points against, saved both of them, and then he had 2 against Kova. So it's like um, he's been really clutch on break points, and I think that's a little bit of variance too.
Oh, for sure. For sure. For sure. For sure.
So, and I think against a much better returner who gets a lot more balls in play, I think he's not going to be able to generate aces on break points like he has in matches past. So that's another reason for my handicap.
Yeah, and I think the issue that I have is like I think overall as I look at this match, like do I think Medvedev is 3.5 games better than Nakashima? I actually don't. But the problem is I think this is a bad matchup for Nakashima.
Yeah.
So how much do you count that in? I think the market's close enough that I'll probably let it pass. I definitely would rather play Medvedev than Nakashima. Like I said, if it moves a little bit more, if I can get the 3.5 at like a minus 105 or something, I'd probably play it. But I think right now the best line I'm seeing is like minus 110, minus 115. So it's very close to getting over the line for me.
Okay. All right, that's fair. As far as other guys this week, Mickelson, um, he kind of impressed me. I thought that match against Lerner was pretty good, but Lerner played a pretty poor match, in my
I
opinion.
mean, that's why I was 4-2, right? Mickelson played well and Lerner played poor. But I mean, I also think that's a good matchup for Mickelson. I just think like Mickelson attacks. He can attack in that matchup. And Mickelson's a very smart player. He has very good hands at the net. Like it's hard. I don't know. I don't like it's a tough matchup for Lerner because like Lerner like the way to beat Mickelson is to take advantage of his limited athleticism and his limited explosiveness.
Yeah.
And Lerner doesn't really have the game to do that.
Right. Yeah, but I don't understand why Lerner has so much success against other guys, but not Mickelson. So I feel like Lerner plays better against more kind of explosive players, right? Or like aggressive minded because he can kind of neutralize their power.
Well, so like I guess there are a lot of guys on the tour right now that don't like that don't necessarily know like where to put the ball when, right? And so I think that like IQ is one area that Lerner's really able to take advantage of because Lerner does do a really good job of keeping the ball out of the center of the court, hitting the ball in good locations. And a lot of guys just make like bad tactical plays against that, you know? Like getting the ball deep into the corner and angling it like confuses a lot of guys how to respond.
Hmm.
Whereas I don't think Mickelson gets as confused. Mickelson also comes in and takes the ball early, right? He likes to kind of stand up on the baseline and cut the
Yeah,
ball
that's true.
off, and he's really good at cutting the ball off on the backhand side, right? That's the other thing is Lerner has an advantage against a lot of guys being left-handed because he can play into their backhands. So that's another reason why I think Lerner struggles against Mickelson. I think there's a few different reasons for it. Also, the hands, right? Like Mickelson can finish points better than a lot of guys. A lot of guys don't finish points particularly well, which again means they have to go for more on the approach because they do struggle more at the net. So yeah,
But it's weird because I don't like I view Lerner as being a very, very tactically sound player off the ground on most days.
I
Whereas
agree.
I don't think the same of Mickelson. Like I feel like against Lerner, he makes all the right decisions. But against other guys, like when I watched that match against Medvedev last night, like I felt like he didn't make the right decisions on a lot of balls. You
Okay,
know,
interesting.
I just think like he goes for too much, but like against Lerner, it's just like it feels like the ball is exactly the pace and the height that he wants it at, and that's why it's a good matchup.
You might be right about that. It might be also that he's more comfortable, right? Because again, we just talked about it, like kind of limited quickness, limited explosiveness, right? So like
Yeah.
a softer ball, right, is going to create less problems for him than like a faster ball that he has to like figure out what to do, especially on the forehand side.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
even the backhand, like I think on against a bigger ball, he's kind of stuck just like digging that backhand out instead of being able to like redirect it and be more aggressive with it.
Whereas Lerner is really good at using that pace and redirecting into an uncomfortable position,
Right.
right? And that's probably why he's better against top 10 guys.
Not
So,
about top 10, but he's better. Yeah. I mean, he's
he
done
had
well
three top
against.
10 wins last year, Lerner.
Yeah. Which wins did he have in the top 10?
Well, okay, Zverev in Acapulco when he got sick. I guess you can't really count that one. But Medvedev at twice, right? One in the Australian Open, and then
Right. Right. Although, Medvedev that, was having. Yeah. I think that's a tough matchup for Medvedev because what does he do against that, That would be really interesting to see. Actually, is if Lerner and Medvedev play again, it's a
hmm
really good litmus test for Medvedev to see like, okay, has he really figured out what to do against like a counter puncher type of player like Lerner?
hmm Yeah, he also beat Musetti in Beijing. It's
Okay, that's a good win.
a good one, yeah. Yeah.
Is that when Musetti ran out of gas and retired?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But he also beat Caboli there. I mean, Caboli was bad after the US Open, and then he beat Cerundolo. So he had a bunch of good wins.
Oh, I mean, I think Teen is definitely playing. I don't know if he's playing it like he's in the top 30 now. I don't know if he's that good,
There might be some regression with him.
but I think he's definitely on hard courts. I think he's definitely easily a top 50 player, easily.
Oh, easily. No doubt. No doubt. But I think the books are starting to overvalue him. I think you have to be careful backing him. I made a mistake backing him against Mickelson. Maybe that's a little different. Also, you have to consider those guys know each other so well. I think they grew up together or playing a lot of matches together. So they're so in tune with each other's games, right? That probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, well, the MP9 guys called this out, but Lerner Teen's hard court elo is now ninth. If you look at his hard court elo
Yeah.
is ninth on the entire tour. So if models or people are using that to make bets, that means they'd be betting on him as a top 10 hard quarter. I don't think I would agree with that
No,
statement.
no, I wouldn't agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun to track those two guys, Mickelson and Lerner.
Ironically, Medvedev's back in the top 10 in hard court elo. Medvedev's eighth.
Wow. Okay. And this guy's really hard to read. I backed him a couple times, and I think he's a good player. I like his what he does on the court. I think he's pretty athletic out there. He's pretty fun to watch. Rafael Collignon. We haven't really talked about him much in the pod, but it's hard for me to gauge his like true strengths and weaknesses. I think his second serve needs work. He double faults quite a bit more than uh I would like if I'm backing him. But good wins against Dimitrov. He's had a bunch of good wins actually recently. Win against Demonor Davis Cup last year. Win against Zizou Bergs, who had a really good week at United Cup this week. Um, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on him? What do you think his like strengths and weaknesses are?
Um, when I watch him, I'm impressed by he seems to be pretty good at attacking. I mean, you called it with the second serve. The second serve is a problem that needs to get cleaned up if he's going to get
Yeah.
probably much inside the top 50. I think he's at uh main tour. I'm pulling up some stats here. The stats that I have here from tennisratio.com, new site I kind of found for some interesting stats on guys. But his second serve points won on all surfaces at ATP Tour the last year is 43%, which is
Yeah.
145th on the tour. That's not going to, and that's obviously double faulting. That's not going to get it done.
No.
Um, and then his return, he's winning 26% of first serve return points. That might be due to playing more on the tour level in the last few months of the year on the quick indoor hard courts, because he's starting to get his ranking up. So that might be a little bit lower than like the true level.
Hmm.
But I think that is a but watching him, I do think that's a little bit of an issue for him too. Is just like he just needs to get like I think overall like he just needs to get uh and you see it on return, but he just needs to get maybe quicker and like I guess the way I'd say it is like more flexible slash like better at like keep staying alive in rallies on defense. That's something like the top guys. If you look at like the top the end of the tour, right? Like that's something we comment on all those guys doing insanely well, right? Like if you look at the top 10, Alcaraz, Sinners, Zverev, Djokovic, even FAA's gotten to this point, Demonor, Musetti, like all of those guys are extremely good at staying in points when they're getting attacked.
Yeah, we're not comparing him to top 10 level yet,
Oh
but
no, I'm not saying we are, but I'm saying like that's
right.
something that like that. I think those like those would be the areas of improvement. Clean up the second serve and just continue to work on getting a little better at like
But watching him against Grigor, I felt like he was on defense and he was moving quite well and staying in rallies. I don't
okay
really feel like that was. I would be curious to see what his steal um percentage points are
is yeah I would personally too
and see kind
because
of where he hovers around in terms of those stats. Um, yeah, I mean, he's kind of seems like an all quarter. I don't even know what surface would be best for him, right? Like he kind of started more as a clay quarter and now he's more a quick quarter, right?
I mean I don't know that he's more of a quick quarter now. I think like it'll be really interesting to see how he does because this will be his first full year on the tour, so
Right.
that'll be interesting, right? Because I do think that's different than playing on the Challenger Tour.
Yep.
Um, but we really didn't really. I mean, he wasn't getting too many tour opportunities just because his ranking wasn't high enough until like the second half of the year. Really post US. Well, I guess he got in the US Open, made the third round of the US Open, um, and that's when he got his ranking solidly in the top 100 and started getting all those opportunities at the end of the year on the main tour. But yeah,
So if you have to rank these three guys, Collignon, Valentin Royer, and Tomas Echeverry on a like a hard court like this, what
Royer third. I think Royer the court needs to be really fast, and I think like the court needs to be pretty fast for him, and I think and that's why we saw him do pretty well on the Asian swing and in kind of in faster indoor
Yeah,
surfaces.
I would agree with that.
Um, Echeverry and Collignon is close. Like if we're talking right now, obviously it's like a
Yeah.
prospect. Collignon is way more interesting, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd probably put Collignon slightly ahead of Edge even now on a quick hard court or like on a Australian hard court. Um, yeah, I mean guys I would put in that range like a Ethan Quinn, right? He's kind of in that ballpark.
I might put Quinn a little lower actually.
Yeah, that's probably true. Who else is in that ballpark right now?
Maybe like a
Hollis.
Marjan.
Yeah, Marjan is just so hit or miss. Like I would put a Majorak in that discussion as well,
Yeah,
right?
Ketchmanich is maybe a slight bit ahead, but not far.
Kovacevic, right? Probably
Ooh,
he's
I would put Kovacevic quite a bit lower. I know Kovacevic is now going to be ranked in the top 60 in the world, or he might actually get him to the top 50 after this week.
yeah.
But I'm still not particularly impressed. Um, I mean, that was a good week for him, but I still need to see more.
Yeah, but like as a prospect, I put Collignon ahead of all of these guys, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, of course,
I
of course.
expect I expect him to be ahead of all of them after the I expect him to be top 50 at the end of the year.
Oh, I would too. I would too. Yeah, I would too. I mean, he's look the first half. Well, I mean, I would like in terms of like pure tennis. Like that's what you would like to see that like that should be the goal from like a continuing to improve and move up the tennis slope.
Yep.
Um, obviously, again, he'll be on the full. This will be a full year of ATP tour, so a lot more travel. We'll see how he does with that. You never know. We've seen some guys like a Tabilo who it seems like that might have affected them.
True, true. Yeah. All right, let's move on to Hong Kong. So we got a very, very interesting final tonight. Musetti and Bublik. Uh, I mean, two of the more watchable guys on tour. I can't wait. Um, my bet for this match is Bublik 2-0 at plus, I think plus 195 or plus 200. I think that the two most likely outcomes here are either Bublik 2-0 or Musetti 2-1. Um, I think fatigue could be an issue for Musetti, who played a really physical match against Rublev yesterday. Um, and I think on this kind of court, this is a good matchup for Musetti because Musetti doesn't really take the ball early, and like Bublik should have time to employ his shot making. But the thing is, it's such great shot making on the other side too. So it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to see. Like I think Bublik will be on the front foot in a lot of rallies. So like how controlled can he be is the question, right?
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like it. That's. I think there's a match advantage for Musetti here, um, but there's a little bit of a fatigue disadvantage, and there's a little bit of a there's a fatigue disadvantage, and then I probably still have Bublik power rated a slight bit above Musetti on a hard court.
Well,
Um,
Bublik also has a massive service advantage, right?
Massive service advantage in this matchup, yes, for sure.
Musetti probably has a better return advantage, but like Bublik serves so well that like he could just hit four aces.
Yeah, but I guess my question is like once it gets into rallies, like
How
I think
disciplined will
there's
Bublik be?
what?
How disciplined will Bublik be, right?
Well, yeah, and yeah, and like a lot of Bublik's shot making like might not be as effective against Musetti's as it would other guys, right? Musetti's really good at like we talked about again, like defending out of tough positions. Musetti's great at that.
Yes, no doubt. No doubt. And I think it favors him a little bit that this court is playing pretty medium, right? It's not like super
Yeah.
quick. If this was played in Brisbane and the line was what it was, I'd be all over Bublik. But um, yeah, fascinating. We just got breaking news. Smooth is on. Guess who he's on?
Musetti.
Yes,
Yeah.
of course he is. Uh,
Musetti could be playing Thor, and Smooth would take Musetti plus 2.5 games.
that's great. That's great. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that match yesterday, Musetti and Rublev. I mean, this is a fantastic match. I got basically no sleep because I just watched the entire thing. It was enthralling. It was just amazing. It was great. Forehand quality was awesome on both sides. Just the shot making was great. It was a good contrast of styles as well because it's like Musetti's shot making versus Rublev's ball striking, and I feel like we're gonna get some of that with Bublik. It's just Bublik just adds that layer of unpredictability. Um, but I did like a couple things from Rublev. I actually thought he was trying to do a few different things, trying to come into the net slightly more, and his volleys look awful. But the thing is, if he hits such a great ball, the volley should be relatively easy, right? So I don't think he should be coming like if he comes in off of poor approaches, that's desperation and that's not good. But if he really gets his opponent on the run, where you know you're going to get a floating ball, it should be easy for all these pros to put a ball away from above the service line, inside the service line, shoulder height. Like it should be pretty easy for them to put that away. And just taking that time away is going to make it so much easier to win points than if you stay on the baseline. So I felt like he was doing some of that a little better, like kind of finding when to come in, but he looks so bad up there that it's like, what the hell are you doing? But I kind of like the thought. I kind of like the adjustment, right?
Well, he made a comment a few months ago that his play or his style of play had reached a ceiling.
Hmm.
So I love that he's trying it, because it's the only way he's gonna honestly at this point stay in the top 20 because there's too many guys coming up that can crush the ball. I mean, Kaboli's ranked 22nd, and he can crush the ball every bit as hard as Rublev can. Um,
Hmm.
Lehecka's 19th. He's probably in the same category. Mensick, I mean, he won't be 18th for in very long, but the point is like there's a lot of the guys right near him in the rankings or right below him in the rankings coming up can all crush the ball. So
Right. Right. He
uh,
came to net 24 times and won 20 of those points yesterday.
that's awesome.
And comparatively to Musetti came to net only 9 times in the entire match.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I felt like Rublev was on the front foot in more rallies, and like I don't necessarily felt like I made the wrong cap here. It's just Musetti came up with some insane shots at the very end. Uh, it's not like he was. It was the line was accurate. It was basically a pure pick.
I
Um,
mean, how much do we think with Rublev is also just where his headspace is in that week or that tournament? He's still even last year really continued to have that first round problem where he was a lot better after he got through the first match of a tournament.
mhm.
I feel like I feel like it's
I agree. I think yeah, that's an issue with Rublev. I mean, we even saw it here. Like he came out really flat against Yibing Wu, lost the first
yeah.
set, right? He does have those early nerves. There's no doubt, no doubt in my mind. Like I feel like if he played Fonseca at the Australian Open in the second or third round last year, he probably wins that match.
Right, right.
You
Yeah,
know?
I mean definitely I think it's yeah, it's a weird mental thing with him, I think. Like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've seen this with Rublev before too. Like as soon as he gets through a couple rounds, he's live to win the tournament sometimes. Like we saw it in Doha last year.
yeah.
We saw it
Yeah.
at Madrid a couple years ago,
Yep.
right? We've seen it in Monte Carlo when he won that tournament, so,
Yeah.
or made the final. I think he won. He beat.
No, he won Monte Carlo. He beat Rune in the final. I had a 28-1 on him.
That's right. But
I was not able to watch the final. I got a text from you that was like, "Hey, Rublev won." And I was like, "Yes."
I remember. I remember now. Yeah. But for him
Yeah,
to come to net 24 times is definitely a change.
I love it. I'm happy to see it. To be honest, I think that he needs to do that.
Yeah. But it's funny when you were texting, I was like, "Oh wow, Rublev's coming to net," and I don't think you watched it, right? Yes, last
No,
night.
I wasn't able to. I was in an Uber on the way to the airport. Blah 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 blah. But yeah,
Yeah. So I texted, and then you were like, immediately, you're just like, "Oh, that's probably desperation." And the reaction was just so funny, and I was like, "No, it's actually like tactically uh
sound play. Yeah, that's
sound
good.
play."
That's good.
So that was part of the match, which was quite interesting. Yeah. Uh, And Musetti, I don't necessarily think his issue. I think he's getting better as a tennis player, but I don't think his issues on a hard court are necessarily resolved. Like
I agree. I
I
agree.
still think like his inability to take the ball early really impacts him against the upper echelon of the sport on a hard court. Because he
Well,
really
but like
needs
it's
that
really
time.
interesting because like Smooth was showing the stats and like the way I think of it is this is like okay, like Musetti's steal percentage is 40%. That's absolutely elite,
Mm,
but it still means he's losing the majority of the points once he's on defense.
right. Exactly.
So like you really, especially on hardcore, you really want to be on the offensive.
And steal points are so amazing to the eye that it skews your opinion sometimes, right? Like it
Yes.
you think that they're playing better and making better shots than they really need to, right?
Yeah.
So I think you have to be careful with steal points. I think it's actually more accurate or like more valuable to look at steal points when you're talking about a guy like Collignon, right? A guy in the top 80 trying to make the top 50 rather than a top 10 guy because like all the top 10 guys, the steal stats are probably elite, right?
Probably. Yeah, I mean probably. I just think like again, like I would go back to what it's like the goal in tennis is to win points, right?
Yeah.
Like and so like it's really like if you're putting yourself in bad position, like yeah, you're stealing 40% of the points, but you're losing 60%. You're losing, you're
Yeah.
so you really you really want to try to get on the front foot, and I think Musetti doesn't do a good enough job on that on hard courts.
Yeah, the match in Athens against Djokovic, perfect example of that, where
Very perfect example, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, where he just
insane
got
to watch. I mean, the points he was winning from 20 feet behind the baseline were just a joke, but um, Djokovic still won the majority of the points.
yeah, yeah.
Just sound tactics. So yeah. So, do you have a bet on this match?
No, I mean, like I said, I think you got two guys who are pretty close, but I think Bublik is a slightly better hardcore than Musetti, but it's pretty close.
Mhm.
And I could hear the argument the other way. Um, I think I definitely have a fatigue. I have a small fatigue concern with Musetti, although it's a lot less against Bublik than it would be against almost anybody else.
Point. That's true.
But playing that kind of match is a little bit concerning. And then um and then I don't really know how to evaluate the match, but I think that's advantage Musetti. Um so I think they all kind of offset. Um and the line's pretty close to pick, so I don't yeah, I think with the line being pretty close to pick, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
But I
Yeah,
think it's an interesting one because I think there's I think you can make an argument for either guy.
I think if Musetti makes it a track meet and he's slicing and dicing all of Bublik's aggressive shots back and like long rallies are like the way the match is going is that there are tons of long points and Musetti just finds a way to steal it and kind of or steal points and deject Bublik. That's when I think it could be problematic for him. So like if it goes 3 sets, I think it's big advantage Musetti. Um,
Okay.
but if Bublik is just kind of you know playing freely and serving incredibly and just making all his drop shots and just, taking the racket out of Musetti's hand. I don't necessarily know if Musetti has an answer for that.
Yeah. I also think Bublik's one of the harder players in the tour to evaluate, man.
He's really hard to evaluate. Yeah,
Like,
no doubt. No doubt. All right, and United Cup. I think we have a couple guys that I really want to touch on before we head out. The first guy's Wawrinka. Um, First, I'm really happy that he got the last wild card. I don't even know why that was a debate or a discussion, or why did the Australians have to make that so suspenseful? Whether or not they're giving him the wild card. I mean, like, come on.
probably just to generate news.
I mean, probably true, but I'm glad Kyrgios didn't get one. He doesn't deserve one. Um,
I would agree. I mean, if you had to ask me who should get a wild card between Kyrgios and Wawrinka, I would say it's easily Wawrinka. I would agree with that.
no doubt, no doubt. Yeah. Um, I mean, he's been very, very impressive this week. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he's been poor on return. He hasn't generated, I don't think, any breaks. Um, but to keep these matches competitive and to be physically that in shape at 40 years old in hot conditions against top 30 guys like Rinderknecht, Kaboli, and I guess Bergs is not really at that ranking, but he's kind of trending in that direction. Super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy can still serve. He
Hmm.
can still he can still really hit the ball with a lot of RPMs on both wings, honestly. The back, I mean, like he just can't move.
It's amazing his ball striking at this age, right? Like the quality
Yeah.
of ball that he still generates is
Yeah.
insane for his
It's
age.
also really fun. It's also become really fun to watch because he's somebody who's like at this point, like he knows he's not going to win tournaments.
Right.
He's actually said that he has to, like that it's a different goal now, So
Yeah. Yeah. Impressive week. Kudos to him and
yeah.
a very underrated career.
Um, I'll be interested to see like how he's thought of because I feel like I think in a lot of people's minds he's thought of the fifth best player of the generation. I think that's right. Right, like I mean, you literally can't put him above Murray, Federer,
No, you cannot.
Nadal, or Djokovic.
But I think his top level was better than Murray's top level ever was.
Okay,
Um, and I thought other than Federer or Nadal, he was by far the toughest matchup for Djokovic. And I don't think it was even close. Besides the Sinner and Alcaraz's now, but I'm not comparing that. But like Wawrinka loved Djokovic's ball, right? Because Djokovic allows you to play, right? And he could just kind of hammer away, right? And I thought some of the matches that he played against Novak were some of the highest quality matches I've ever seen, like the Australian Open
and
2013.
some of the most dramatic matches I've ever seen. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, the French Open 2015 was, I think, one of the best performances still to this day.
Oh, that was an insane match. Yeah,
It wasn't, I mean, Djokovic didn't play poorly, and he was on the
no, for
absolute
sure,
fire the entire year. I mean, Wawrinka just took the ball, a racket out of his hand, like
for
two
sure, for
sets. It
sure.
was ridiculous. So, um, that's what I mean. So I think like in that aspect, I think he's very underrated. And I also thought the 2016 U.S. Open was super impressive. That run doesn't get talked about enough.
Probably true. Yeah,
So yeah, it's just I don't know, the hiring of Magnus Norman, like his career really took off in like 2013. And to win, and his slams were not gimme slams. They were beating. I think he beat Djokovic and Wawrinka to win the 2014 Australian Open. He beat Djokovic in that French Open final. He also beat Federer in that tournament, and then he beat Djokovic in the final. So like he's beaten the big three to win each of his slams. It's not like he's
Yeah,
cakewalk, you know?
and he's got one each, right? One French, one each of everything but Wimbledon because he was never really a grass threat.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think like fantastic career. I'm happy to see he'll get this kind of like he'll get kind of his final walk in the sun. I hope all the slams give him wild cards. I think he's more than earned it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Definitely. Fritz. Um, Honestly surprised to see him play, honestly, through this. If he's having tendonitis, I don't really understand why he's not resting for the Australian Open.
I don't either. I don't either. I mean, that seems
Like
really kind of silly.
there are plenty of American guys who could take his spot and probably would want to take his spot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but Fritz also seems to really like these like weird team events.
He does. He does. That's true. I think he just likes playing tennis. He just like, you know, he has like FOMO.
I also think he's a really, really smart businessman.
It's probably true. Well, his TikTok girlfriend probably helps him out with that.
Yeah, I mean, like it is it is amazing how much he complains about the tour and having to play, and then continues to play in events that aren't he doesn't really need to play in, you know,
Right. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like exhibitions and labor. You know what I mean? Like he plays all the time, and then complains he has to play. It's very like
Yeah, but if he's not, he kind of looks underpowered. If he's looking underpowered and he's not generating, easy points on his serve, it's really going to be really hard for him to.
well, I think that's really hard to do when you have a bad knee, right? Like it's really hard to play tennis on when when you have a knee issue. I don't understand why he's playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but you think his struggles are just solely based on that, right? Nothing else.
I think it's impossible to know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, yeah. I mean, there might be other stuff wrong too. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but if you've got a bad knee, that's gonna and that's gonna that could cause a like a domino effect, right? To start causing other things to become problematic, right?
Right, right.
You've got a knee issue and you adjust your technique to deal with that knee issue. That's not good. If it gets in the player's head, that's not good. So I don't I think there's a lot of not good in it for him.
Yeah. And then Hubie, I mean, he's been pretty good coming back from injury. Um, I feel like he's generating a little bit more on his forehand this week. His forehand is usually the shot that breaks down, but I feel like that's the shot that actually been helping him this week, from what I've seen against like Demonor, um, in particular. Serve is always, is always there for him. So I think, I mean, he should be in the top 15 at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, I would think he gets back to top 15, borderline top 10 status. And I mean, like, I think he kind of is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think I need to see a little more of him. But yeah, I think it'll be if he can stay healthy, there's
Yeah,
no reason he can't be in the top 15,
right.
borderline top 10.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so week one is in the books. This week we got Auckland, Adelaide, and Australian Open qualifying. The draw will probably come out with Wednesday night, I believe, our time. So we should do a pod, I would say Thursday or Friday night.
Probably Friday, but
Friday night.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Um, we also have. I also want to promote the Bet 105 Sharp Circle tournament.
Yes. Yeah, well we'll be pretty hard betting that. We're probably promoting that this week, especially once the draw comes out.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Sharp
for sure.
Circle's just done an incredible job with promoting transparent betting and giving us this platform showcase our picks and stuff like that. And the user interface is growing and getting better every week, it seems.
And
Uh,
when they're getting more and more tipsters too, more
yeah,
and more really strong tipsters on the site. So yeah,
yeah. So it's taking over. It's just a great thing for us to grow our brand, but also like for the space.
yeah, for sure, for
Awesome.
sure.
All right, so that'll do it. Matches are starting pretty soon, so thanks for joining
Yeah.
us, and
Yeah,
we'll
and stay tuned for our thoughts on the upcoming terms. We're not going to go through them on this pod because I think the draws just came out. But yeah, we'll definitely you'll definitely see our thoughts coming up probably in the next 12 18 hours on the tournaments because they start tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah, so we'll have futures picks and stuff we gotta
Yep.
go over. So a lot of content coming up. So it's
Yep.
fun times. All right, have a good night, everyone.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone.